92.7's First Responder Friday.
Whether you have marginal, moderate, or even extensive hair loss, you don't have to live with it. Finally, there's a procedure that becomes a part of you, and it requires no daily maintenance or special care. Let Apollo Hair Systems give you a free hair and scalp analysis today. Call 423-803-1011 and schedule this free evaluation today. Open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Apollo Hair Systems, 5512 Ringgold Road in Chattanooga. 423-803-1011 for Apollo Hair Systems.
The station you hear everywhere.
Cougar Radio 92.7.
Good morning, beautiful people here in the city of Chattanooga. It's your girl Marie Mott with the Marie Mott Show. Y'all know what it is. I'm taking it from the streets to City Hall, from City Hall to the mayor's office. Can't leave out the police department. From the valley low to the mountaintop, giving you guys a bird's eye view to what's going on here in the city of Chattanooga. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I hope everyone is having a very good morning so far. We've made it past another Monday. We are starting, oh my goodness, we're almost to December. This is quite interesting how quickly this year has almost come and went. So today is going to be a very, very interesting show because I've dedicated the show today to discussing the rise of socialism, in particular in the Democratic Party. And what does that mean for the future of politics in America and why we need to take the rise of what is considered democratic socialism? Why we need to take this very, very seriously. And what does that mean for this representative constitutional republic that we have in the United States? The United States, contrary to popular opinion and how people surmise the United States is not a democracy. For Thomas Jefferson said that a democracy is a mob rule. And so I want to be able to contextualize what type of system does America have? What is the purpose of the system that America has? What are the ramifications of adopting a socialist agenda or socialist system in America? And looking at that from I'm neither a left nor right participant. I am not solely a Democrat nor a Republican. When I look at politics, I look to align myself with as best as possible, and that's really asking a whole lot in today. I'm looking to find the person that aligns with the most of my moral scruples, right? My moral beliefs or my moral systems that I have. I'm not looking to be dedicated to a party, for I believe that is a very dangerous thing. If we look at the course of America, we have political parties that have risen and have fallen and have came and went. And so we should see this progression in politics. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with evolution in politics. But I think we need to be particularly careful when we talk about socialism in the systems or the confines of America. We cannot have an expectation that socialism is probably not going to end up how it has ended up in the majority of countries where we have specific people who end up taking over, right? We end up having totalitarian regimes, or we're going to have dictators. We're asking and trusting way too much in the government to do right by us already, without even adding any of the additional big government confines of socialism. We're asking a whole lot already of people. And if we find that people are taking advantage of us on a municipal scale, and let's be real, I think we have to really be real and not want, and really not want there to be a utopia, because utopia does not exist. Can we be real? Utopia is not real. Perfection is not real. Perfection is so overrated. It's not real. Do we need to work diligently to make America better? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I believe that even though the ideology behind socialism is one that I could buy into from an ideological perspective, in a real life sense, when I stack it up against history, I don't see where it has often worked out for the people who have believed in it. And so I want us to make sure that when we look at things, in particular, how we want this country to develop, that we don't get caught up in romanticizing sometimes in which we do, romanticizing revolution. Again, when you look at even revolution from a historical context, you have the people who start off good, right? Who start off with the ideology that they want to change wherever it is that they are, with these morals and these scruples that they want to make where they live a better place. But we also know, the saying goes, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And if, in particular, when you read works such as Animal Farm, one of the things that we recognize is, in a lot of instances, the revolution ends exactly where it begins. And the problem that we have is that we end up having people who replace a regime, and sometimes that works out to where it's worse or somewhat better. But the reality is what country is as free as America? And that is a question that I have to ask people, because one of the things that socialism really does not allow, the reason that we can even talk about socialism right now in America is because we have freedom of speech, which is guaranteed by the Constitution, which is one of the things that makes America what it is. I'm not saying that America is perfect. Absolutely not. But we got to get into understanding that we're not going to get to the root of our problems if we're just talking about it at a surface level. Yes, we understand that college is absolutely expensive, but why is college expensive? Yes, we know that people need housing, but what stands in the way of people being able to get into housing? So I want to ask the stupid, the simple, and the dumb questions. So is it capitalism that stops people from getting into housing? Or is it the fact that we have if we look at the city of Chattanooga, that we have such rigid zoning restrictions that make it nearly impossible for people to build new dwellings? So is it capitalism that's the problem? No, capitalism is not the problem of why we don't have housing. The problem is that Chattanooga exists on a very vastly outdated zoning structure. And can we be real about the root causes of the problem? Yes, college is expensive, but is it expensive solely because of capitalism? No, it is not expensive solely because of capitalism. It is expensive because the federal government stepped in, and this is the danger. And let's start from the top. 800-8949 if you want to call and chop it up with me today. Always the same. I welcome people to call in, whether you agree, whether you disagree, whether you have comments, commentary. It's more than welcome on the show. Please, I want to have rather a dialogue, because at the end of the day, I'm just one individual. How I see the world, how I view things is not what I would force upon anybody. But let's start from the absolute very basics. What is America? Most people, and I've seen this a lot in political commentary, America is a democracy. It is not. America is a representative constitutional republic. That is the reason that we have the freedoms that we have. Why do we need a constitution? So we have to ask these basic questions. So what is the difference between a democracy and a constitutional republic? The difference between a democracy and a constitutional republic is that we have the Constitution, which would prohibit a majority from influencing its will upon a minority, right? So we're not solely an absolute democracy, and we are a constitutional republic. This is what makes America different than anywhere else in the world. Understand that when we started this country with the ideology, okay, now we can always argue all of the atrocities of America, but let's focus on this right here. When we started this country with the ideology that we were not going to be slaves to a crown. We were not going to be slaves to one individual. We were not going to be slaves to noble people, right? We weren't going to be slaves to kings or queens or aristocrats or monarchies. We decided that we were going to build a society that was going to respect the God-given individual rights of the person. And that no matter how that person lived, we should never infringe upon their right to decide how they were going to live their life. This is one of the reasons why I have no problem with anybody marrying the same sex. I do not have the right to impose my religious will upon people. I don't. And that's what makes America great. I don't. So let's look at this. And here's the danger of us going down a road like this, of having, quote unquote, a democratic, which is a mob rule. And we have to understand these basic concepts. A mob rule. If the majority of Americans so said to vote, if we left it up to a vote, right? If the majority of Americans said that they wanted to repeal our LGBTQ plus family from their rights of marriage and all of the things that come along with being married, would you be okay with that? I would say absolutely not, because I don't have a right to impose my will on anybody else. And so this is the whole point of the Constitution. And it has taken a very long time to develop this. We've gotten it wrong. In some instances, we've gotten it right. But at the end of the day, the Constitution is the outlying document that protects the individual. And I think the reason that we get in a lot of trouble in America right now is because people don't know the Constitution. And then we elect people who do not respect the Constitution. I'm just saying. Now, this is me. This is just me. A pure unbridled democracy is a political system in which the majority enjoys absolute power by means of democratic elections. An unvarnished democracy unrestrained by a constitution, the majority can vote to impose tyranny on themselves and the minority opposition. They can vote to elect those who infringe upon our inalienable God-given rights. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Talk to me.
Here we go. The state changing the definition of words because they can't do it lawfully. You know, LBGTABCDEFG can never be married. I don't care what the Supreme Court says. Marriage is between a man and a woman under the common law. It existed prior to Christianity. Now, the question is, can the state issue civil union contracts that appear to be marriage? Absolutely. The state said you can have the same rights as a man and a woman. But here's what the problem is, Marie. You ready for the problem?
Go ahead. Talk to me.
The Christians and the Christian churches didn't object to the government licensing marriage, which they have no authority to do. And because of that, the Supreme Court had no choice but to acknowledge New York's position that this is a matter of commerce. That's what they were discussing. If you have a driver's license in New York, Tennessee has to respect it. So since New York was issuing marriage licenses, the state of Tennessee has to respect it. But the state has no authority to grant permission to what God has given you. A license is permission to do something that would otherwise be illegal. It's not illegal to get married. It's not in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. It's common law. But marriage is a man and a woman for the purpose of reproduction. Now, if the state wants to create civil union contracts that mimic marriage, they can do that. But it's not marriage. You can scream as much as you want, and the state and everybody else, they can all be offended, but you're not going to change language in my eyes. Marriage has a particular meaning in common law. It is not a marriage. It's a civil union contract.
Well, the show is not about marriage. I just use that as an example of if we would allow a situation to where we did go to a democracy, which this is not what America is. We're not a democracy. We're a representative constitutional republic. And we need to understand the very basics of our government if we're going to have these real conversations. The point that I want people to understand is the doors that we're opening, having some of these conversations, and then having people get into power with what I believe in some instances are things that are totally outside the confines of our constitutional republic and what we have set up here in America.
Right. No, I agree with you. In other words, if I was a woman and you and I were a couple, I should have every right in the world to see you in the hospital, to partake of your benefits, to do everything as a couple. People don't choose to be gay. That's not a choice. You're born one way or another. There's no choice involved. You don't choose to be Italian or white or black. It's what God has given you. So no state should interfere with that, but they also should not manipulate language in order to accomplish something they can't do other than taking away their
what is your commentary on socialism in America? Because that's really what's the mean of
where socialism is the disease. It's a cancer. The definition is government control over production and distribution. We have been a socialist nation since 1913. We are 80% communist and 100% socialist because government controls all the production and distribution, and they control the monetary system through the so-called private Federal Reserve Bank. We're a socialist country. We're totally enslaved. We're not Russia socialist or Trotsky socialist, but we are certainly we have that cancer of socialism with $21 trillion in debt, and this nation will fail with socialism because no country has ever succeeded with socialism ever. It can't work.
But so to your point, one of the things, like, people keep debating. So I mean, all I did was legitimately just put one post that I was going to talk about this yesterday on my Facebook page, and I probably had like 5 or 6 different people debate me on, it's not perfect. Socialism is not perfect. Maybe we just need to make better choices, and maybe we need to do it this way, and maybe we need to do it that way. And one of the things that I found out,
Marie, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, so one of the things that is even interesting when you look at the Democratic Socialist of America's page is that they don't have a legitimate example of one system of socialism that has worked in history. What they have is an example of this program from this country, this program from that country, this program from somewhere else. There's not a legitimate example of where socialism has worked in one country overall. And I think it's even, it's kind of insidious that we believe that there are actually countries out there that are participating in socialism, because I don't see them. I don't know them. We've had people, I know that a lot of people depend on like the Nordic countries, and those are not socialist countries. And they have the leaders of those countries have come out and said that they're not socialist countries. I know people don't want to look at the USSR, and definitely don't want to look at Venezuela. But I wanted to have this conversation because one of the things that I really want to ask people, and I really want to open up a dialogue, and I kind of doubt that people will really call in and actually talk to me about it. Most times people just want to hop on Facebook, and that's where the dialogue wants to happen. I don't really see where people will actually meet with you or dialogue with you. It's kind of, you got to believe.
But Marie, you're an individualist. See,
I am.
In socialism, it's always we, and I dread we. I dread anyone other than me. I dread we. Like you're on the radio because you have the ability to do that. That's you. And then the next person, and the next person. We denotes I'm not capable of doing it myself. And the problem is socialism is government control. That means 2 or more people compelling you to do or not do something. Can you imagine that? And that's what it is. But
well, I mean, to your point, if we already have systems like that, and then again, I think it's because a lot of people don't look at what has unfolded, in particular in politics and government, maybe the last 120 years.
Social Security is socialism.
Exactly.
Social Security is socialism.
Welfare.
And it's a failed system.
Exactly.
It's not only welfare, there's no Social Security insurance program. When you collect it as an entitlement. When you pay into it as an income tax. So Social Security is welfare. It is an entitlement. It is socialism, and it is trillions of dollars in debt. Because that's what socialists do. They create debt until there's nothing left and the entire system collapses. But I love your dissertation on no country ever succeeding with socialism.
And
Now,
that's really all I ask. I ask people for real life instances, and I think this is a legitimate question. Point me to a country. I won't even say that it has to be comparable in size to the United States of America. Just point me to a country that has tried socialism as we would want to envision it, at least as these guys want to envision it. And I'll read what they have on their website here shortly. But point me to a country where this has worked. And if you can prove to me where this has worked in a legitimate country, I'll get on board. I don't mind. Right. But nobody can point me to a real life example of where this has worked in the benefit of the people, besides either killing them, making them completely poor, opening the doorway to dictatorship. I have not seen any example of where this has worked in a real life
socialism. The socialism they're talking about is owning steel factories. Oh, actually, the government owning those factories, or they say the people owning the factories. Am I correct? And that's the socialism you're talking about? Because let me tell you, one thing that's scary in America is the corporate communism. And that's the corporations getting you to do what the government can't, like direct deposit, like filling out a W-4, like doing everything they say voluntarily by contract if you want to work for them, but the government can't get you to do. That's scary.
That is scary. I'm just having an open conversation about socialism because I'm struggling to understand how it's going to fit within the confines of American society. Now, we can argue about capitalism all day long, and that's fine. But when we're talking about replacing the constitutional republic that we have, we need to ask bigger questions than what we're asking.
3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news. Now.
3 kids arrested in Dunlap after a string of car burglaries. Dunlap police say a woman was awakened by dogs barking, so her husband went to check it out, saw someone rifle through his car, hop into a white vehicle, and make a break for it. Later, an officer arrested 3 juveniles at a convenience store sitting in a stolen Mustang. The 3 faced auto burglary charges. The TVA is suing local property owners to force them to allow construction of TVA infrastructure. The TVA wants to build a 5-mile power line from the Sequoia nuclear plant to a new planned substation. However, Greg Vital owns some of that land and tells WTVC that the power line would ruin his property value and condemn his farm. And Ronald Allred, the director of the Sam Warner Military Museum, indicted on theft charges. The DA's office in Mont Eagle says he sold a large amount of military equipment valued at over 6 figures. Val St. John for Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7, Action News Now.
Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 p.m. on Nooga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Martin Truex Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. Elliott Powers around the outside. Michael McDowell pops the right front tire. Here's Martin Truex to the bottom. Blaney blocks him off too. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott went 4 wide on the back straightaway. They're side by side for the lead.
Hear it live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Nooga Radio 92.7 FM, 95.3 HD4.
The voice of NASCAR.
Merry Christmas. Well, let's take a look at the naughty and nice list. Well, let's see here. There's Sonny, and there's Deb, and even Eddie made the list too. Well, let's look at the naughty list. Well, there's Billy and Greg. If you think you're on the naughty list, stop by Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds and get 70% off select merchandise in the store. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, 5301 Brainerd Road, Chattanooga.
For your small business, ending the year the right way can set you up for success come January. No need to let end-of-year panic set in. Easy Books and Taxes can help set up your books or new payroll service so that you can relax and enjoy the holiday season. With 35 years, bookkeeping, individual, and business tax preparation, it's easy. With Easy Books and Taxes, you run the business, we keep the books. Call us today at 423-755-0821.
Your home is a constant work in progress. Repaint the walls? Yeah, easy enough. Leaky faucet? There's a video for that. But roof repair? You might want some help. That's where Chattanooga Roofing Contractors come in. They have 3 generations of roofing excellence you can count on. Leave the ladder in the garage. Go to chatroofing.com. That's chaproofing.com for Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, a roofing company you can trust. Man, you sure you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I worked with my dad on his truck all the time. Just one more bolt to go.
Yeah, wrong bolt. Today's truck ain't your daddy's truck. For repairs on today's vehicles, you need Amco Transmission and Total Car Care of Chattanooga on Lee Highway. Stay on the road, not in the garage. Amco Transmission on Lee Highway. Get it done the right way. The Thompson Pet way. Yeah, I just put that anywhere.
Hi, this is Scott Schrader. Tune in Saturdays for We've Got You Covered. From finance to fixtures and all things in between, when it comes to your home, we'll help steer you in the right direction. We've got you covered 10 to 12 every Saturday on Nooga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio, Chattanooga weather.
Lots of sunshine out there for your afternoon, but still breezy and cold. Highs only into the upper 30s tonight. Clear, coldest night of the season. Lows 20 to 23. For Wednesday, more sunshine. Highs lower 40s, increasing clouds upper 40s Thursday. Rock City's Enchanted of Lights has sweet treats, dazzling views, the world's largest walk-through digital Christmas tree, and over 1 million colorful lights. Visit CRockCity.com for tickets and new special weeknight pricing. And I'm Sorgene 12, she's meteorologist at your 4.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
It's the best thing on the radio right now. It's Marie Mott with Marie Mott Show. Y'all know what it is. We're talking about it today. Democratic socialism is real, doesn't work. Where have we seen the real life instances of socialism that have benefited the people in the long run? I'm telling you, I haven't really found them. I haven't really seen them. And all I want is you to point me to where it works. Now, I'm not saying that where our system currently works efficiently. I'm not saying that. But do we need to throw away the system that we have to adopt something that hasn't worked just about in any country whatsoever? So we have someone on the line. Go ahead and talk to me. Let's talk about it.
Marie, you've got my blood pressure up this morning.
What? I'm not trying to have your blood pressure up. I'm just saying. So I looked at the information. Like I promised y'all, I don't just wake up and do this. Like I legitimately scour information. I read, and I haven't really found where it works. And then when I went to the Democratic Socialists of America website, they didn't give me one example of one country where it worked. So just talk to me.
Okay, so, first of all, good morning.
Good morning.
Got my blood pressure up while I'm driving down these interstates.
Don't have a heart attack.
Listen, it's why I figured I'd call in, because I love you and I want to be in principal struggle with you. So first of all, I mean, I think obviously you cannot give me a concrete example of any country where Black people and poor people and women and LGBTQ folks, et cetera, and workers and the environment has been somehow saved by capitalism, right? What I can give you is examples of places where class struggle has happened, where socialism, which is just a transition, Marie, it's moving from a form of governance, economic structure that is not good for us, toward a more liberatory one, right? And I can tell you that when I was in Cuba, they have a 100% literacy rate. Everybody's got health care. It's incredible. It's incredible what I saw, right? I can tell you that when I met Evo Morales, like from Bolivia, that man and his vision as an Afro-descendant leader, people were incredibly excited about his presence and his vision because it was on a people's platform, right? That work takes time to build up the people's power, to be able to hold folks accountable to a people's platform takes time, right? But I'm not saying that anywhere it's been perfect, but what I'm saying is that just focusing on white, like Marxist, Leninists, even just focusing on Mao, who I love, and all of his contradictions, is actually erasing the many places across the African diaspora that have had socialist revolutionary transitions and are continuing to fight for the liberation of all people. What I know for sure is that Black people in particular can never be free under capitalism. And I want to speak directly to your point about like zoning and housing, right? Right. The issue absolutely at the root is the intersection of white supremacy and capitalism, right? Like zoning literally exists because of the commodification of housing, right? It literally exists, right? Because they don't want to give people access to affordable housing. In fact, the whole goal is to center and consolidate the wealth and power of rich white men. And to be 100% clear with you, the conversation about the origin of the Constitution was also about those rich white male property owners, right? So this we that you keep speaking of when you're talking about constitutionalism was not ever supposed to include me. I think you're right that because Black people have fought, and to be very specific, Black socialists have fought for the liberation of all people, the Constitution is better. And so I think what we know for sure is that, yeah, absolutely, there's a world that exists that we live in right now. And in that world is a capitalist representative republic, right? You've said that. That is true. And what is real is that while we struggle to do the harm reduction work within that system so that we actually can live another day to fight, we also have to be building something different. So I don't disagree with you that socialists and communists and anarchists need to be able to clearly articulate our vision for what the future is beyond capitalism. I don't disagree with you there. What I do disagree with wholeheartedly is the idea that somehow capitalism can be reformed, because it cannot. If it could be, it would have been by now, and we would be free, right? People wouldn't be fighting. What's real is that capitalism cannot be reformed, and our people can't be free under it.
Well, so here's a question that I have to ask, right? So one of the things that I did is I went to the website of the Democratic Socialists of America, and one of the things that they talk about, because in some ways they have outlined their vision of where they want to go in this society, is that they want to ensure that they give the powers of corporation to the worker. Is that correct?
I'm not a member of the Democratic Socialists of America, although I think there's some really amazing folks who are in that.
Absolutely, and I have nothing.
But yeah, I think generally Marxist-Leninists believe that in the dictatorship of the proletariat, they would say that the people who are literally right now selling their labor deserve to be in charge of their workplaces. I think it's fair.
Thank you for your comments. And please do not have a heart attack coming down the road. Again, it's dialogue. It's dialogue. Now, at the end of the day, I can still believe what I believe. And I hope no matter if we cannot agree, that we can always be respectful. And I hope that people always feel that with me. Is that even if I don't agree with you, I'm going to love you and I'm going to respect you. And I can still work with you, right? So I'm not going to be a full-blown socialist. I'm not, and that's cool. And on that same token, I do understand that the only reason that America gets to be as great as it is because of 400 plus years of free labor, which no one ever wants to talk about. Like, I firmly do understand, but I think I felt like it was important, and people asked me to talk about this because I think we need to understand how this would. I guess the fear that I have is when we open this door, as we've seen this door open many times before outside of this country, can we really trust? Can we trust the Democratic Party? Can we trust the people in government, the bureaucrats? Can we really trust the bureaucrats to do right by the people in this country if they're not doing that already? I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, I mean, I think the point isn't to have blind trust in anything, right? I think the point is to build independent political power of our people, period, right? So if any party was not doing the will of the people, right, the people most directly impacted by the systems of oppression that exist in this country and abroad, then there should be struggle to either hold it accountable or to dismantle it so that it can never harm our people again, period, regardless of the governance structure or economic system. The point is that under capitalism, the people will never be impacted. Like, the only power that we'll have is in collective. That's why individualism doesn't work. If you could individually get free, Marie, you already would be, right? The point to me isn't to say that socialism or communism or anarchy is without fault. The point is to say, one, no experiment that's happened in any other country is going to be easily not easily, but immediately replicable in this country. We're in the belly of the capitalist beast, right? Like globalism in this world would not exist without us, and we have a particularly unique form of like imperialist colonialist capitalism, right? Racialized capitalism, right? Like the intersection of white supremacy and capitalism in this country is real. And I think that the point for most socialist organizations, whether it's DSA or many, many other revolutionary organizations that I think are doing some of the most incredible life-saving work that this country has ever seen and has always seen, right? Like the Communist Party had a headquarters in Chattanooga, Tennessee, right? The Black Panther Party was a socialist party. You can't say that you support the visionary mission of the Black Panther Party and not talk about socialism. You can't talk about the civil rights movement. People like, Bayard Rustin, people, the Black Arts Movement. You can't talk about those movements. You can't talk about the Southern Freedom Movement and then talk about the fact that these movements were led by socialists and communists and anarchists, Marie. And so I think what's clear is that the incredible civil rights gains that we've got literally happened because people were fighting for socialist demands, right? The 8-hour workday, the end of child labor laws, right? The fight for universal health care, the fight for Black liberation, the fight for women's rights, the fight for queer liberation, like all of those things have been led by revolutionaries that were anti-capitalist, right? And so I really, really urge us to be disciplined in the way that we talk about our study, but also depending on where you get your facts from, Marie, you will get very, 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 very anti-communist versions of the story, particularly from libertarians and individualists and constitutionalists who actually benefit, white ones, rich, wealthy white ones in particular, who benefit off of the people continuing to be under a capitalist system.
Thank you so much, Ash, for your comments. I really appreciate it. One of the things that I want people to understand is, look, I understand that America is capitalist. I do understand how America got to where it is right now. And that happened off of the backs of my people. I do understand that. And that happened from the genocide of Native Americans. I do understand that. Please, 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 please believe me. I do get it. I just want to have a conversation about this because, again, I think when we talk about, okay, so I guess trying to think about how I want to say this. We have fought for social gains in this country, and that did happen from socialist beliefs. I firmly believe that. I mean, I've covered the Black Panther Party on this show, and the reason why we have testing for sickle cell anemia. You can thank the Black Panther Party for that. The reason why we have free lunch in schools and breakfast is because of the Black Panther Party. The reason why we have WIC is because of the Black Panther Party. So I do understand. Good morning. Talk to me. I knew this was going to be a hot topic.
My head almost exploded. I want to debate her. Let's see if she has the courage.
Oh,
almost everything she said was inaccurate.
Oh, God.
Almost everything. A 40-hour work week? You socialists are lazy. Come to work for me. You know why you want socialism? Because you're lazy. I've never met a socialist that wasn't. You want to run my company? You can't even show up for work. From 40-hour work week, there's 168 hours in the week. Of the 40 hours, you get an hour for lunch. It's 35 hours. Cut me a break, you bunch of lazy socialists. Are you kidding me, Marie? I'm 61 years old. I've built my businesses from the ground up, other than what Barack Obama had to say that I didn't build it, because I worked my ass off. I would not turn my business over to people that work for me, ever. Are you kidding me?
And this is why I have to ask the question:
You know what?
if we expect this to happen, how do we expect this to happen without the government getting involved? And do we expect people? I mean,
Exactly.
because here's the question that I do have to ask, and I have to ask the stupid, simple, dumb questions. If the business owner is the one who incurred all of the risk, the business owner, and every corporation is not ran by a person that is super rich. I work for a radio station where the man who owns this is not a millionaire. And I've been given the opportunity to be on the radio, if nobody minds me saying, absolutely free of charge. The only reason I get to have this show is because another small business owner absolutely trusted the fact that I could have this, that I could be on the air. And I didn't go to school for this. I've never gone to school for journalism or broadcast journalism or anything else like that. So what does socialism do for the small business owner? What does socialism do for the person who has saved for years to invest to get into a business and it's taken off and they've been able to employ people? So what does that look for Mama Crunk's Pies? What does that look like for The Spot? What does that look like for and even though they support the Chattanooga Police Department, which I have problems with that, but okay, it's their business. They can do what they want. So what does that look like for like the small business?
Listen, Marie, here's the bottom line. Socialists want to control. They don't want to work. They don't want to produce. They want to sit around and talk about how great redistribution of wealth is when they're not risking their own wealth, and they're all lazy. They're lazy and brain dead. And I want to debate this woman. You come on the air and debate me, because I'm going to have you leaving the studio like a 6-year-old girl crying because she dropped her ice cream. Because socialists will not debate, because I'm going to show you that everything she said is propaganda. Everything. And let's talk about the 40-hour work week. Marie, let's say you want to work 50 or 60. You know how to work at a radio station that was unionized? When I was on the air for 6 hours, they wouldn't let me go back on the air for 4 more hours because of the union. I couldn't do what I wanted to do because of government rules. I couldn't produce to my fullest potential because there was a union interfering with me because my lazy coworkers wanted to do nothing and get paid for it. And that's what socialists are. They're a bunch of do-nothing lazies that want to get paid for doing nothing. And if you listen, Marie has my phone number. If you want to come work for me, socialists, prove me wrong. I'll give you a job right away. I will hire you today.
He doesn't have a trust fund. He doesn't have a trust fund.
Marie, I'm going to go one step better. I'm going to let the socialists run my company for a week. There you go. You think you can run a business? Really? Let the workers run the business? Are you brain dead? I wouldn't let my other half of my mom or dad run my business. They're employees. Not everybody can be a business owner. Most people don't have the balls to risk their capital. Cut me a check for $100,000. Risk your capital, and you can run my business for a week. Oh, we can't do that. We want to take over a successful business and flush it down the toilet. The workers, the people in slavery. These are all a bunch of words that mean nothing. They mean nothing. Her whole spiel was a bunch of hot air. I threw up all over the place. I got to clean it. Thanks, Marie.
No problem. So I'm just asking basic questions. And again, everyone can always debate. And we have to talk about this. We have to have dialogue. I think we need to understand. Because again, I'm neither Republican, neither am I Democrat. I look at the individual. And I do understand in some instances, individualism does not work. And the power of the collective is what we have to resort to. I do understand that has gotten African-American people, which has opened up the doorway for other people behind us to have gains in this country. I fully understand that. But again, when we talk about when we talk about socialism in America, I think we need to understand what that means. And before, caller, if you just don't mind holding for just a second. So what is democratic socialism? It is collective ownership of the means of production. It is weak market moving towards a planned economy. And it is high taxation to provide social services. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Talk to me.
Good morning, Marie. This is Hannah. I won't take up too much of your time. But I'm definitely, I feel like I relate to you so much in that I find it really dangerous to pull any too much from one or the other. One person I find really inspiring is Keynes. Keynesian or Keynesian economics. He pointed out many of the faults of capitalism, many of the faults of socialism. And what I think is so special and what we could create with our representative government is the ability to pick and choose.
Absolutely.
And represent our elected officials and say, listen, we believe in healthcare for all because right now we're really struggling. What can that do for our economy? Well, right now, take in Tennessee. Most people go to those payday lenders because of healthcare. That's one of the number one leading causes here in Tennessee for going to a payday lender. So they get in these cycles of debt and they're not able to spend their money. Well, we can eliminate that one, just say that one thing. Let's say we just went for healthcare. With that money that would go back into their pockets, because we could pay for it easily by skimming from say, the military, or even legalizing marijuana and taking the taxes from that to pay for it. So they'll have more money every month to go to the spot, to go to Taco Mama, to go and see a concert at the symphony, who knows what. So I think that there actually are real world examples that can be given pretty easily, actually, because we won't have Tennesseans in debt as often. And one thing that I find so remarkable about the debt in Tennessee is that they don't choose to liquidate their assets. They're still planning on paying back those dollars. They choose not to liquidate. They choose to try and get out of it and do their best. So I don't know. I think that there are so many different issues that to just say I'm a capitalist or I'm a socialist, no, be for representative democracy and pick, get to pick and say, I want this from capitalism. I want that from socialism. That's what Keynes said. That's what we did with the New Deal.
Thank you so much, Hannah. And that's truly, I believe, that if we're going to make progress in this country from where we are right now, is that we can't go from one extreme to the next. So we can't have the left extreme, which is socialism, and then the right extreme, which we complain about, which is the alt-right, and not try to meet somewhere in the middle and take a little bit from capitalism, take a little bit from socialism, and see how we can make it work together. I'm just saying, if capitalism hasn't worked, and we are admitting that it hasn't worked in this country, and we see socialism hasn't worked anywhere else, then going from one end of the spectrum to the other, my mind does not understand that. It's Marie Mott with the Marie Mott Show. Y'all know what it is. If no one is taking the time today to tell you that they love you, I love you. Nothing you can do about it. Great conversation.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news. Now.
3 kids arrested in Dunlap after a string of car burglaries. Dunlap police say a woman was awakened by dogs barking, so her husband went to check it out, saw someone rifle through his car, hop into a white vehicle, and make a break for it. Later, an officer arrested 3 juveniles at a convenience store sitting in a stolen Mustang. The 3 face auto burglary charges. The TVA is suing local property owners to force them to allow construction of TVA infrastructure. The TVA wants to build a 5-mile power line from the Sequoia nuclear plant to a new planned substation. However, Greg Vital owns some of that land and tells WTVC that the power line would ruin his property value and condemn his farm. And Ronald Allred, the director of the Sam Warner Military Museum, indicted on theft charges. The DA's office in Mont Eagle says he sold a large amount of military equipment valued at over 6 figures. Val St. John for Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7, Action News now.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio, Chattanooga weather.
Lots of sunshine out there for your afternoon, but still breezy and cold. Highs only into the upper 30s tonight. Clear, coldest night of the season. Lows 20 to 23. For Wednesday, more sunshine. Highs lower 40s, increasing clouds upper 40s Thursday. Rock City's Enchanted Garden of Lights has sweet treats, dazzling views, the world's largest walk-through digital Christmas tree, and over 1 million colorful lights. Visit CRockCity.com for tickets and new special weeknight pricing. And I'm Sorgene Walsh, meteorologist at your 4.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Whether you have marginal, moderate, or even extensive hair loss, you don't have to live with it. Finally, there's a procedure that becomes a part of you, and it requires no daily maintenance or special care. Let Apollo Hair Systems give you a free hair and scalp analysis today. Call 423-803-1011 and schedule this free evaluation today. Open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Apollo Hair Systems, 5512 Ringgold Road in Chattanooga. 423-803-1011 for Apollo Hair Systems.
The water we drink should be the most perfect on the planet. At Purity Water, we set the bar extremely high. As a leader in bottleless water treatment systems, we create the healthiest, cleanest water there is. Liquid Purity. The Purity water cooler dispensers and coffee makers can transform your workplace with a continuous supply of clean, fresh, great-tasting water. And now, to make your day that much brighter, we're serving Stone Cup and Fleetwood Premium locally roasted coffee. Some would call that the nectar of the gods, but here at Purity Water, it's just business as usual. To put a smile on the faces of your employees and visitors, and for your free trial, give us a call at 423-894-0737 or find us online at puritydrinkingwater.com. That's puritydrinkingwater.com.
Even if you like your job, there are some things that can drive you nuts. Like the anonymous coward who steals your lunch from the break room fridge. Or maybe Tyler, the IT guy, who gives you that condescending look when you tell him that your computer is acting up again, as if somehow it's your fault. You put up with these clowns every single day. But what happens when you've had enough? That's the day you decide to retire. At least that's the hope, right? But will you be able to retire? Can you afford to retire? That's why you need to talk to Ron and Christy Adams at One Family Financial. They can't do anything about Cody, that moron who heats up fish in the microwave, but they can strategize with you on how to get the most out of your 401k or pension, how to grow your money without losing your shirt in the market, and how to help make your money last in retirement. Talk to Ron and Christy today about whether you'll be ready to retire when you finally had it with seeing Ethan walk out of the bathroom again without washing his hands. Gross. Call Ron and Christy Adams at One Family Financial, 423-710-2009, 423-710-2009.
Call 423-875-3600 if you're looking to expand your professional look of your business. Then consider the vast opportunities that are available when you locate your office with the Raines Group family. Remember, it's location, location, location. And the Raines Group has the location for your professional office. Check out the spaces for lease at Executive Business Park on the Lee Highway. Small or large, we will build to suit your needs with the Raines Group. Call 423-875-3600 for the business professionals with the Raines Group.
Nuga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree? Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nuga Radio, 92.7 FM and 95.3 HD4. News Talk Nuga Radio. WPLZ HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga.
Serving Chattanooga.
Broadcasting live from the center of the universe, the Tennessee Valley's most listened to news talk station.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Quicken Loans.
I'm Steve Kathan. Voters in Mississippi are choosing a senator today in a race that's had racial overtones and has drawn national attention. The challenger is African-American Democrat Mike Espy.
What I'm trying to do in my campaign is to reach across that line and reach across that racial chasm, if you will, and bring everyone together.
The Republican incumbent, Cindy Hyde-Smith, backed by President Trump, apologized for saying she'd go to a public hanging if invited. CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
Mississippi hasn't elected a Democrat to the U.S. Senate since 1982, so a win by Mike Espy here would be a shocker. But if Hyde-Smith pulls it off as expected, the GOP majority in the Senate would grow to 53 seats.
New trouble could be brewing for former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort. The special counsel in the Russia investigation accuses him of lying after working out a plea deal. CBS's Paula Reed.
Right now, special counsel is being very clear. They're not revealing anything about what he lied about. And it's just, right now, it's unclear. We do not know whether or not this information will ever be made public.
On Twitter, President Trump said Robert Mueller is doing tremendous damage to the criminal justice system. The FDA says it's begun to pinpoint where tainted romaine lettuce came from. Phil Lempert of supermarketguru.com.
Look at that package carefully. If it does not say where it comes from, don't buy it. And what you want to beware of are romaine lettuces harvested from the Central Coast growing region of northern and central California.
All romaine lettuce was ordered off store shelves last week. Overseas, 3 American service members have died in Afghanistan CBS's Cammie McCormick.
The three were killed when an improvised explosive device detonated near Ghazni City. 3 other service members were injured. The violence in Ghazni has been on the uptick. Elections in the province were recently delayed. The military also said today that a soldier killed last week was the apparent victim of friendly fire from Afghan partner forces in another province.
Officials from 9 countries fired questions today at a Facebook vice president.
Facebook executive Richard Allen assuring lawmakers from 9 nations the social media giant has cleaned up its act since the 2016 election.
I think we are in a much better place today, sitting here in front of you, than we were 2 years ago.
But they weren't having it.
We are protecting our community from bad actors. That's a recent statement from Facebook. Has it occurred to you that in relation to privacy, Facebook might be becoming one of these bad actors?
I don't believe we are.
CEO Mark Zuckerberg may come to regret his refusal to testify before a panel bent on cracking down on his industry. Vicki Barker, CBS News, London.
Wall Street, the Dow is down 42 points. The NASDAQ is up 2 points. This is CBS News.
National Mortgage Lender Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Licensed in all 50 states, equal housing lender, NMLS number 3030.
You gotta be so cold to make it in this world. Yeah, you're a natural, living your life cutthroat. You gotta be so cold. Yeah, you're a natural.
Alexa, play Imagine Dragons.
Okay.
'Cause you're a natural. I'm feeling hot as stone. You gotta be.
With Amazon Music, a voice is all you need. Get access to over 50 million songs. Download the Amazon Music app today.
You're going to love this. Hundreds of Macy's Cyber Week specials are here and ready for gifting online and in store. Like boots and booties for her, buy one, get one free. Mixers, air fryers, and more, 20% plus an extra 20% off. And find gifts for him and her, coats, sweaters, tops, 50 to 60% off. Macy's Cyber Week specials now through Wednesday. Savings off regular prices, exclusions apply. Macy's Star Rewards now offers benefits everyone can enjoy no matter how they pay. Sign up for free in store or at Macys.com/Star Rewards.
The government now says there are 116 confirmed cases of AFM in 31 states. That's the polio-like illness that affects mostly children. More than 100 additional possible cases under investigation. A piece of music to be performed in public this week will offer some echoes of World War II.
The music belies the horror. An ensemble at the University of Michigan will perform The Most Beautiful Time of Life at a concert Friday. It hasn't been heard since it was played by prisoners at the Auschwitz concentration camp during World War II, where they often performed for the commandant, Rudolf Hasse. A music theory professor discovered the handwritten manuscript while she was doing research in Poland. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
In the unofficial opening of Hollywood's awards season, The Rider, a Western, took Best Film at the 28th Annual Gotham Awards in New York. Steve Kathan, CBS News.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Woman accused of lying to the cops is arrested.
3 service members have been killed in Afghanistan.
And East Ridge acting police chief has been named. These stories, Top Chattanooga Radio News Talk 92.7. News Director Russell Stroud.
And Val St. John reporting.
The Walker County Sheriff's Office says Madison Conrad gave them bad information about a shooting that led the police on a wild goose chase. Last week, a car crashed in Rossville and deputies were fired upon. Investigators talked to the owner of that car, who gave the deputies false names for the shooter and his passenger. The real shooter was later arrested. Ms. Conrad charged with making false statements.
The U.S. military says 3 service members have been killed in Afghanistan. The military adds the attack also injured 3 other service members along with an American contractors. CBS's Cammie McCormick.
It happened today in Ghazni. An improvised explosive device detonated, killing the 3 and wounding 3 other service members. Ghazni's been the scene of heavy fighting between Afghan forces and the Taliban. The American troops have been advising and assisting the Afghans. The military also said today a soldier killed last week in Afghanistan was accidentally shot by Afghan partnered forces during a gunfight with al-Qaeda militants.
Stan Allen with the East Ridge Police Department told the press that he is the new acting police chief. This comes after former Chief J.R. Reed was placed on administrative leave for mysterious reasons. The city manager later confirmed that Reed is accused of multiple policy violations, but city officials are not saying what those violations are. Assistant City Manager Kenny Custer told the press that Reed is still on paid leave. Eastridge News Online later confirmed that this leave does not have anything to do with a recent incident in which a suspect was tased in the groin by ERPD cops.
Amazon says Cyber Monday, the biggest shopping day in company's history. CBS's Jill Schlesinger.
Cyber Monday was the single biggest shopping day in Amazon's history. The most products ordered worldwide. Amazon customers worldwide, they ordered more than 18 million toys, more than 13 million fashion items on Black Friday and Cyber Monday combined.
Ronald Allred, the director of the Sam Werner Military Museum, was indicted on theft charges. The DA's office in Monteagle says he stole a large amount of military equipment valued at over 6 figures. Allred is the executor of the estate which owns the museum. Mr. Allred's arraignment is scheduled for Wednesday.
General Motors announcing it has planned to make thousands of cuts to jobs at 4 plants in the United States and 1 in Canada, even though it's profitable. The cuts will affect 15% of the company's white-collar workers and many high-paying factory jobs. CBS's Chris Van Cleve.
I moved my family twice for this company, and they do this to me.
Outrage over General Motors' decision to drop 6 underperforming sedans came quick.
Well, we don't like it.
From President Trump.
I think you're going to see something else happen there, but I'm not happy about it.
Congressional Republicans.
Today's announcement was particularly disappointing.
And Democrats.
I'm really pissed off about the whole thing because these guys have blatant disregard for workers in the country.
The move will idle 5 North American plants next year where the sedans are produced, potentially laying off up to 14,000 employees, mostly in the United States.
The Salvation Army opened its doors last night for the homeless in our city. They'll open the cold weather shelter both tonight and Wednesday as well. Recreate Cafe will serve the needy with hot food and drink. Donations are welcome, says the Salvation Army, as utility bills are high with the heating and water that they've used. Volunteers are also needed to help out with the homeless. The Salvation Army opens its shelter anytime the temperatures dip below freezing.
Former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort faces new legal trouble because special counsel Robert Mueller claims he violated his plea bargain. Prosecutors allege he lied to the FBI and the special counsel's office on a variety of subject matters. CBS's Paula Reed.
He agreed to cooperate with the government in exchange for many of the charges against him being dropped. But as part of this agreement, he had to provide accurate information. He had to be honest. He had to be truthful about any matters that the government was interested in, including Russian interference in the 2016 election. Now that he has allegedly lied, the government is no longer bound by any of the promises that it made to him and could potentially refile those charges it had dropped. Now, Manafort's lawyer denies these allegations. He says his client has been truthful.
An open forum in Catoosa County is scheduled for Thursday. The topic at hand will be the proposed 1% sales tax increase allocated to the Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax, or SPLOST for short. The money raised will be used for infrastructure repair and construction. The town hall meeting will be at the Administrative Building on 800 Lafayette Street in Ringgold at 5:30 p.m. Thursday.
In health news, the CDC says cases of a polio-like condition have hit their highest level since 2016. CBS's Meg Oliver.
The CDC says there are now 116 confirmed cases of acute flaccid myelitis, or AFM, in 31 states in the U.S. this year. That's an additional 10 cases from earlier this month. AFM is a rare, potentially paralyzing illness that affects mostly children.
The police say a woman was wounded after an officer-involved shooting over in Knoxville. The KPD says that a woman with a large knife was cutting both herself and another person when officers arrived. The situation escalated and the woman was shot by officers. She was taken to the hospital with serious but not mortal injuries. The officer was placed on administrative leave pending an investigation.
President Trump says the U.S. doesn't approve of escalating violence either way between Russia and Ukraine. The Russians seized several Ukrainian vessels when Ukraine sent its navy in to stop the Russians from preventing its vessels from transiting through an important body used for trade. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says the seizure of Ukrainian vessels represents dangerous escalation. CBS News military consultant, retired Colonel Jeff McCausland.
There has been a general agreement to allow free passage in the Sea of Azov, particularly to the port of Mariupol in Ukraine, which is very important for the export of grain for the Ukrainian economy. Russians have begun inspecting all ships transiting the straits, despite the fact that there has been this general agreement, all the way going back to a treaty in 2004.
A victim and driver in a Sunday night crash were identified. Reports say 45-year-old Ronald Neal was driving south on 75 at the split when he drifted into the adjacent lane right into the side of a tractor trailer. His passenger, 23-year-old Shechem Reed, was killed and another passenger was seriously hurt. 2 kids in the back of the car miraculously survived unhurt despite the severity of the wreck. Traffic cops say the crash was so bad the bottom of the truck's trailer was mangled. The driver, Mr. Neal, was charged with vehicular homicide by impairment.
Mississippi voters go to the polls today to elect its next senator, Democrat Mike Espy or Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith. CBS's Jim Crisula.
Republican U.S. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith appeared with President Donald Trump at 2 campaign rallies on the eve of Mississippi's race-charged U.S. Senate runoff election.
You know I will continue to stand up for the conservative values of Mississippi.
Democrat Mike Espy told supporters,
I'm an independent person. I'll be an independent senator. I'll do whatever I think is best for Mississippi.
Nooses and signs about Mississippi's history of public lynchings appeared outside the state capitol hours before the voting began. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
5-year-old Joe Clyde Daniels went missing in Dixon County back in April. His father, Joseph, admitted to the police that he killed him and hid his body, but that body was never recovered. Several pieces of evidence, including a blanket believed to belong to the boy, were found, but no body. The Search for Me Foundation announced on Monday that the private detective David Marshburn is on his way to Tennessee in hopes of finding the remains of Joe Clyde Daniels.
Now that Black Friday and Cyber Monday are over, it's Giving Tuesday. Nonprofits and charities are hoping you'll contribute. CBS's Allison Keyes.
Asha Curran at New York's 92nd Street Y says it's easy to pick a cause you'd like to help out.
Choose somebody in your own network who's giving to something that you find compelling.
She says not only are people giving in the U.S., but they are doing so all over the world, meaning there's
a lot of embracing of this idea of generosity as a universal human value.
The Y launched Giving Tuesday 6 years ago, and by last year, people donated $300 million. Curran says there's still room to grow. Allison Keyes, CBS News.
3 Hamilton County kids were arrested in Dunlap after a string of car burglaries. Dunlap police say a woman was awakened by her dog's barking, so her husband went out to investigate. He saw someone rifle through his car, hop into a white vehicle, and make a break for it. Later, an officer arrested 3 juveniles at a convenience store. The cops say they were sitting in a stolen Mustang. 3 face auto burglary charges.
A top executive at Facebook is being taken to task over fake news at an unprecedented international hearing. CBS's Vicki Barker.
Parliamentarians from 9 nations, including Canada, grilling Facebook executive Richard Allen about the social media giant's role in allowing fake news and disinformation to spread worldwide, and about the fact that CEO Mark Zuckerberg has repeatedly refused to appear before them.
I put it to you that you have lost the trust of the international community to self-police, and that we have to start looking at a method of holding you and your company to accountable, because Mr. Zuckerberg, who's not here, doesn't appear willing to do the job himself.
Zuckerberg's absence today not helping his company's cause. Vicki Barker, CBS News, London.
Over in Ray County, the sheriff's office says a woman stole from the Angel Tree Fund, which sends toys to kids whose families can't afford them. 38-year-old Bridget Godsey was arrested after surveillance video allegedly caught her opening up the donation box and taking the money from inside. She was charged with theft under $500, which is a misdemeanor. There are multiple donation boxes around Ray County, so you can help to replenish the stolen funds.
Nuga Radio pays for the best news tips.
If you see news after you call 911, call Nuga Radio at 423-800-8949. Russell Stroud, Nuga Radio News Talk 92.7.
And Val St. John for Nuga Radio News Talk 92.7. Action News now.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nuga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nuga Radio, Chattanooga weather.
Lots of sunshine out there for your afternoon, but still breezy and cold. Highs only into the upper 30s tonight. Clear, coldest night of the season. Lows 20 to 23. For Wednesday, more sunshine. Highs lower 40s, increasing clouds upper 40s Thursday. Rock City's Enchanted Garden of Lights has sweet treats, dazzling views, the world's largest walk-through digital Christmas tree, and over 1 million colorful lights. Visit CRockCity.com for tickets and new special weeknight pricing. And I'm Sorgene 12, Chief Meteorologist at your 4.
Radio 92.7.
Life is complicated. The Salto Agency is simple. And that's something very good to know in a world where insurance decisions are all too complicated. Taylor Salto and his team at Farmers Insurance We'll work with you to identify the insurance coverage that best suits your needs and provide a custom-tailored solution to your home, life, auto, or business insurance. At the Salto Agency, you can get all your insurance in one simple location. Let the Salto Agency provide peace of mind so that you know that you and your family will be cared for properly. Stop by their new office today at 6229 Vance Road, Suite 115. You can reach the Salto Agency online at saltoinsurance.com. That's SOLTAU insurance.com. Let Taylor Salto at Farmers Insurance make your life a little simpler today. Farmers Insurance, the Salto Agency, custom tailored insurance.
Man, you sure you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I worked with my dad on his truck all the time. Just one more bolt to go.
Yeah, wrong bolt. Today's truck ain't your daddy's truck. For repairs on today's vehicles, you need AMCO Transmission and Total Car Care of Chattanooga on Lee Highway. Stay on the road, not in the garage. AMCO Transmission on Lee Highway. Get it done the right way. The Thompson Pet way. Yeah, I just put that anywhere.
David Toulis, I made the move 1 o'clock every weekday afternoon, 1 till 3, Nooga Radio.
92.7. I'm always watching the Travel Channel. There's this one episode shot in the Mediterranean one night. It caught my eye. And the food, wow, definitely wanted to try some of that. Luckily, I didn't need to go halfway around the world. I found Olive Branch Mediterranean Foods right here in East Ridge. East Ridge. They were telling me how the menu's made fresh daily. It's authentic and it's so delicious. Your next culinary trip, not halfway around the world. It's right here, waiting for you at home.
Visit Olive Branch Mediterranean Foods, 3992 Ringgold Road.
Come see the Chattanooga Zoo transformed into a magical winter wonderland. Visit the animals and watch them open their gifts. Have your picture taken with Santa Claus, play holiday games and make crafts, or just enjoy the beauty of the zoo covered in lights at their annual Holiday Lights event every Friday and Saturday night in December, right up until December 22nd. It's the most wonderful time of year at the Chattanooga Zoo. For ticket pricing and information, go to chatzoo.com.
Nooga Radio 92.7's First Responder Friday. If you would like to nominate a first responder for First Responder Friday, email noogaradio@gmail.com. noogaradio@gmail.com. Nooga Radio 92.7's First Responder Friday.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news. Now, woman accused of lying to the cops was arrested.
Investigating the scientist who claims to have created the world's first genetically edited babies.
And East Ridge acting police chief has been named. These stories top Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7. News Director Russell Stroud.
And Val St. John reporting.
The Walker County Sheriff's Office says Madison Conrad gave them bad information about a shooting that led the police on a wild goose chase. Last week, a car crashed in Rossville and deputies were fired upon. Investigators talked to the owner of that car, who gave the deputies false names for the shooter and his passenger. The real shooter was later arrested. Ms. Conrad was charged with making false statements.
Chinese medical officials say they are investigating the scientist who claims to have created the world's first genetically edited babies. The scientist says the twin sisters were born with immunity to HIV, and he claims to have altered their DNA in a lab using a gene editing technique. CBS's medical correspondent, Dr. Narula.
China's National Health Commission ordered an investigation into He's work, which defied a global scientific consensus banning the use of genetic editing on human embryos. He's University in China, where he was on unpaid leave, said it was deeply shocked by his research, which it believes seriously violated academic ethics and codes of conduct.
Stan Allen with the East Ridge Police Department told the press that he is the new acting police chief. This comes after former chief J.R. Reed was placed on administrative leave for mysterious reasons. The city manager later confirmed that Reed is accused of multiple policy violations, but city officials are not saying what those violations are. Assistant City Manager Kenny Custer told the press that Reed is on paid leave. East Ridge News Online later confirmed that this does not have anything to do with a recent incident in which a suspect was allegedly tased in the groin by ERPD cops.
In a Texas court appearance yesterday, Samuel Little confessed to killing a woman 24 years ago. But if what he says is true, he would be the nation's most prolific killer. CBS's Vicki Barker.
The 79-year-old drifter telling investigators he may have killed as many as 90 people in 14 states over decades. Little is speaking out now after failing to get his life sentences for strangling 3 women in California overturned. According to him, he roamed the country preying on drug addicts and troubled women. Now, investigators across the country are calling in, trying to match Little's multiplying confessions to their cold cases. So far, there have been matches for more than 30. Vicki Barker, CBS News.
A Ringgold police officer says he checked out a car that was parked behind a local pharmacy late at night. The officer asked the driver, who was later identified as William Barbie, just what he was doing there so late at night. Mr. Barbie reportedly became frantic, saying that people had been following him earlier. The officer noticed a strong odor of marijuana and asked to search the car and called for backup. In the trunk, 14 long guns and 4 handguns. Normally, that's perfectly legal, but Mr. Barbie is a convicted felon and was allegedly high. He was charged and thrown in the Catoosa County Jail. He has another court date in Chautauqua County on charges of aggravated assault.
The LA Times is reporting that the state Democratic Party chairman in California is taking a leave of absence while he's being investigated for alleged sexual misconduct. KCBS TV's Jeff Michael.
The chairman of California's Democratic Party is taking a leave of absence while he deals with sexual misconduct investigations. Eric Bauman is accused of sexual assault and sexual harassment. Anonymous accusers say the alleged incidents took place during political events. Bauman calls the accusations despicable lies.
Over in Ray County, the sheriff's office says a woman stole from the Angel Tree Fund, which sends toys to kids whose families can't afford them. 38-year-old Bridget Godsey was arrested after surveillance video allegedly caught her opening the donation box and taking the money from inside. She was charged with theft under $500, which is a misdemeanor.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have backed off its dire warning that all romaine lettuce should be tossed by consumers and retailers. The agency says some romaine is safe now. It's narrowed the source of the E. coli outbreak to specific areas of California. KCBS TV reporter Stacey Butler with reaction from consumers a bit confused.
The CDC is narrowing its warning. Now, it's only warning consumers and retailers not to eat or serve romaine harvested from the central coastal growing regions of northern and central California.
It's just confusing for situation for me. Sometimes it's okay, and now they say no, they remove it from the shelves, and now they put it back.
Even as the CDC tries to clarify that romaine lettuce from Yuma, Arizona, Imperial and Riverside counties, Florida, and Mexico are perfectly safe to eat, consumers are wary.
The TVA is suing local property owners to force them to allow the construction of TVA infrastructure. The TVA wants to build a 5-mile power line from the Sequoia nuclear plant to a new planned substation. However, Greg Vital owns some of that land, and he told WTVC that the power line would ruin his property value and condemn his farm. He told the TVA no, and now he's being sued along with several other property owners. The TVA hopes to start construction next year.
NASA's Mars InSight lander made a flawless descent to the red planet after a blazing plunge to the surface. CBS's Jamie Yukas with more on the mission.
The success is sweeter when you consider only 40% of 44 missions to Mars worldwide accomplished their goals. Project manager Tom Hoffman.
Absolutely. The science of this literally is groundbreaking for InSight. We have a probe that's going to go hopefully 16 feet into Mars. First time we've done anything other than scratch the surface.
Mars and Earth were shaped at the same time, 4 billion years ago. NASA hopes to learn more about both by digging deep into the red planet's core.
3 Hamilton County kids were arrested at Dunlap after a string of car burglaries. Dunlap police say a woman was awakened by her dog's barking, so her husband went to investigate. He saw someone rifling through his car, hop into a white vehicle, make a break for it. Later, an officer arrested 3 juveniles in a convenience store. The cops say that they were sitting in a stolen Mustang. The 3 face auto burglary charges.
Amazon says Cyber Monday was the biggest shopping day in the company's history. CBS's Jill Schlesinger.
The Amazon numbers, these figures, they really are telling a story that most retailers are discussing this holiday season, and that is that an improving economy, low unemployment rate is bringing more people out to shop this holiday season.
5-year-old Joe Clyde Daniels went missing in Dixon County.